There are few meals more satisfying than a hot, gooey grilled cheese sandwich dipped into a steaming bowl of roasted tomato soup. You can build this entire restaurant-quality meal in your own kitchen in under an hour, using just a baking sheet, a blender, and a heavy-bottomed pot. High-quality results rely on a specific assembly: fresh tomatoes, onions, garlic, herbs, heavy cream, sourdough bread, and a custom blend of melting cheeses. By applying proper culinary technique to these everyday ingredients, we can elevate a basic childhood lunch into a masterpiece. Step 1 is building the soup's flavor base. Take about 3.5 pounds of mixed tomatoes, Roma, cherry, and heirloom. Cut them into wedges alongside a large yellow onion, and lightly smash 4 cloves of peeled garlic. Transfer everything to a foil-lined baking sheet. Toss the vegetables generously with olive oil, a few good pinches of kosher salt, black pepper, and several sprigs of fresh thyme. Slide that pan into an oven preheated to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll leave it there for exactly 1 hour. Notice that we didn't peel the tomatoes or scoop out the seeds. Because we're going to blend the soup later, skipping those labor-intensive steps saves time without sacrificing texture. After 60 minutes, the tomatoes and onions will have collapsed into soft, bubbling mounds with deeply caramelized edges and distinct charred spots. This high-heat roasting process evaporates excess water and concentrates the natural plant sugars. If you simply boiled these raw vegetables in broth, you'd end up with a flat, acidic flavor instead of this rich, savory depth. Pull out the thyme sprigs and scrape all the roasted vegetables, and crucially, every drop of the released pan juices into a heavy-bottomed Dutch oven. Pour in 2 cups of chicken or vegetable broth. Bring the pot to a boil, then reduce the heat and let it simmer for 25 minutes to thoroughly infuse the broth with those concentrated roasted notes. Hot liquids expand dramatically when agitated. If you're using an immersion blender right in the pot, ensure it is no more than 2/3 full to prevent severe burns. Toss in half a cup of torn fresh basil leaves, submerge the blender blade, and puree the mixture until the vegetable solids are completely broken down. Finally, stir in half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream and adjust your salt and pepper to taste. The blender breaks down the cooked vegetables, while the cream's fat smooths out remaining acidity, leaving you with a cohesive, velvety soup. While the soup stays warm, we can build the sandwich. Grab 2 thick slices of sourdough bread and a block each of sharp white cheddar, Gruyere, and Monterey Jack. You must grate these cheeses by hand. Reaching for a bag of pre-shredded cheese is a common shortcut that ruins the final texture. Manufacturers coat pre-shredded cheese in anti-caking starches to prevent clumping in the bag. Under heat, this starch acts as a physical barrier. It absorbs moisture, preventing lipids and proteins from binding into a creamy emulsion. With your freshly grated cheese ready, spread a thin, even layer of mayonnaise on the outside of your sourdough slices. Mayonnaise is essentially an emulsion of oil and egg yolks. It has a significantly higher smoke point than butter, allowing it to brown the bread evenly without burning. By choosing hand-grated cheese without starch barriers and an oil-based spread that tolerates sustained heat, you're engineering a sandwich designed perfectly for the pan. Place a small nonstick skillet over medium-low heat. Drop in a tiny dab of butter. This isn't for browning, it's just to add a hint of traditional flavor. Once it melts, lay down your first slice of sourdough, mayo side down. Pile on a generous handful of your mixed cheese and cap it with a second slice, mayo side up. Resist the urge to crank up the stove. High heat will scorch the bread long before the temperature can penetrate the center to melt the cheese. Let it cook slowly. Use your spatula to apply gentle, even pressure to the top of the sandwich. You want to encourage maximum contact with the pan without crushing the bread's airy structure. After 4 minutes, slide your spatula underneath and flip it. You'll reveal a deeply golden crust with the cheese just starting to ooze out. Patience and strict temperature control separate a dry, unevenly cooked piece of toast from a truly gourmet result. When the second side is perfectly browned and the center is fully melted, pull the sandwich from the skillet. Slice it diagonally to expose that molten core. Ladle your hot roasted tomato soup into a wide bowl. Garnish it with a final swirl of heavy cream and a sprinkle of torn fresh basil. Pull the two sandwich halves apart to stretch the Gruyere and cheddar, then dip that crispy, mayo-browned crust directly into the soup. By concentrating the flavors of the produce in the oven and applying the right chemistry to your bread and cheese, you can easily turn a simple pantry staple into an exceptional, comforting meal.